Hi there, this is Berin and today I want to talk to you about correct tonguing technique on saxophone and clarinet. Now, most players, myself included, when we first start off, we tend to tongue completely wrong on the single reed instruments. For some reason on brass instruments and flute, most people tongue intuitively correctly. But we don't on the single reed instruments. And a lot of times we're told when we're first playing, say ta 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 or 2 2 2 or something like that. And unfortunately that doesn't work for the single reeds. Basically what we want to have happen is we want the tip of the tongue to barely touch the tip of the reed. We want it to barely move up and down. Unfortunately, that's not what we want to do naturally. Naturally, what we tend to do is we pull the tongue back away from the mouthpiece, and then we slam it forward into it, somewhere around this area of the reed. And when we do that, we get this. A couple other things that are happening is if you watch my throat here, you can probably see some movement, you can see some jaw movement. So usually if there's throat and or jaw movement, it's an indication that the tongue is going back and forth. And of course the most important thing is we're getting a lot of extra noise. So here's a couple of my great drawings demonstrating what's happening. So when we're tonguing wrong, we a lot of times get a block of sound, then we kind of get this gunk, this noise in there. And there's also kind of a complete stoppage. In fact, I don't have any of this written out, but if you record this into some recording software and look at the wave shape, you usually have the shape of the note, then you get this kind of distorted shape, and then you get a flat line, then you get distorted shape, then the note starts up again. And it keeps repeat every time you tongue, distortion, flat line. And of course what we want to have happen we want it to go nice and light, and in reality, if this is the note, we want to just barely dent it. We don't want to stop the reed from vibrating. Like up here, we're stopping the reed, totally dead. Here we want to keep the reed going. So again, if we were to look at this in some recording software, you would see the wave shape, and then the shape would just shrink. It'd be the same exact shape as when the full note's playing, but it's just shrunk a little bit. So in other words, a little bit softer. Then it goes back to the full size shape, and then it goes to the shrunk one again. And so this is what we have to try to fix. We want to get a better sound because, of course, this stuff is going to interfere with our tone and our sound and all that. And additionally, it's hard to tongue fast. Now, of course, don't worry about speed right away. We first want to get the tongue moving correctly. And sometimes we can just by force of will learn how to keep the tongue forward in the mouth, position it so it's just barely below the reed and just barely move it up and down. And that's how we can do it. I found one shortcut though that sometimes helps to teach this trick just a little bit faster. And I'll switch back over to saxophone here. It's an exercise I call the tongue tickle. And what I'm going to do is as I'm playing a note, the reed's going to be vibrating like this, and I'm going to try to take the tip of my tongue and barely touch it onto the tongue or tip of the reed. The reed's going to be vibrating. I'm going to take the tip of my tongue and just barely touch it on the tip of the reed. So it kind of tickles the tip of my tongue, hence the name. And so it feels a little bit funny at first, and it'll kind of muffle the sound a little bit. So this is kind of what it sounds like. So I want you to go ahead and try this. So get out your clarinet or your sax. Doesn't matter what size. This applies to all sizes of saxophone, all sizes of clarinet. But I want you to get it out and I want you to try it. So what that means, you're going to have to pause this video for a moment because you don't want to cheat and see what the result is. But yeah, first go ahead and try it, and I'll wait for you. Okay, I'm trusting that you paused this video and you tried it out first. And now, this is probably what happened to you as you're trying it though. You're going along and going. Probably got some type of Morse code thing, and again, when I see students do it, I can see their eyes kind of working like, it's not working, I can't do this. But actually, it's the side effect is what I'm after. I'm after that little bouncing thing. And in essence, what you ended up doing was tonguing correctly. So as the reed's vibrating here, you're trying to barely touch the tip of the tongue on the tip of the reed, and it keeps wanting to bounce off, doesn't it? Yeah, that's exactly what we want. That's how we should be tonguing on the saxophone and the clarinet. So so go ahead and work with that. And of course, yeah, we want to, maybe first do quarter notes and on purpose, still think the tongue tickle, but just go ahead and let the tongue bounce off. But see if you can get it into a quarter note rhythm, and then maybe into an eighth note, and then maybe 16th note. And eventually we can get the speed. But at first, do not worry about the speed. So hopefully this will help. And once you can get that tonguing cleaned up, then you can do a lot more with articulation. So I'll talk more about some other things like staccato, and maybe do another more in-depth video where we analyze the wave shapes. But until then, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. And thank you. Thanks for watching.